Hey everyone, welcome to Heal, Survive, and Thrive. Happy fall. We are finally here. I think the official first day of fall was a couple days ago, and we are definitely starting to see it here in New England. The leaves are changing. It is a rainy, gloomy, sunless day today, so we are starting to get into the aspects of fall and the dreaded winter that lasts forever. We have Annie Girl in the house. She's over here by me, so if you hear her, she's just hanging out with us. But today I want to focus on perimenopause, and I want to talk about kind of the things that I experience, because I know a lot of us women, we honestly feel like we're going crazy because no one told us this information. I wish there was a guide, a book, an aunt, a grandmother, a sister, a friend who had said, hey, Steph, just so you know, around this age, you might go through something like this, and it might look like this, it might look like that. Here's the laundry list of everything that you could possibly be experiencing. Every woman is different. No one told me anything about this, not even doctors, which is crazy that every year you go to the doctor and no one said, hey, just so you know, you're in the beginning age range of perimenopause. So if you start feeling this and this, you're not going crazy. This is what it is. This is why it's happening. I mean, it is insane to me that no one has these kind of conversations with us women about these things. And what ends up happening is we start experiencing this floodgate of symptoms, of things that we're going through, and then we feel like we're crazy. Like we feel so not like ourselves, so out of our own bodies, that we start seeking answers. Because I know that was the case for me. I said, this just doesn't seem right what I'm experiencing. I don't think this is part of the monthly cycle of me just having my period, where basically there's only 1 week where I kind of feel normal, because I don't even have that week anymore. So I want to go over, there's such a long list of symptoms that you could be experiencing. And I know everyone's different. Maybe some people experience a couple, maybe some experience none at all, to be honest with you. And most of the women in my life, older women that have gone through this phase of their life and they're in menopause now, barely experienced anything. I mean, barely had a hot flash. So I was like, worst people to have conversations with, because no one experienced anything like this. And it wasn't until I started talking to my cousin and a couple of my friends that I said, hey, look, are you experiencing this? Because I'm experiencing this. And once everyone started to say, yeah, I am. And this is what I mean, the floodgates just open. And then I wanted to have conversations with like every woman that I possibly knew that was in my age range. But let's start in the beginning. When did you guys, and comment down below. I'm actually posting this on YouTube as well. So if you follow me, if you don't follow me on YouTube, definitely check me out over there. You can watch the video. Comment down below, when did you really start experiencing this? People have asked me, hey, I love the transition that you're making with your content, because, I'm not dating a narcissist anymore. I'm not married to that person anymore. And I just felt like the evolution of the channel, the podcast, everything absolutely had to happen, because I'm not in the thick of a divorce anymore. And these are like new things that I'm going through that I feel like need to be highlighted, because they just need that spotlight on them to educate you, to educate me, to be in this kind of like sisterhood with each other of what it is that we're going through, because no one really understands unless you go through it. And it's the same thing with the narcissistic relationship. Your sister didn't understand what you were going through because she had never been in one. She's happily married to a great guy, love of her life. And unfortunately, you were married to a selfish person who has a personality disorder. So you can't relate. You can have conversations, but the person really can't fully understand what it is that you're going through because they haven't experienced it. And I really feel the same is true for hormones and symptoms that we go through and things that we experience. And every woman is different. And I think we all need that comfort, friendship, group, whatever you want to call it, to say, hey, look, you're not crazy. By the way, this is what worked for me. It might work for you. Let's have conversations about this stuff, because it's important. Probably around 37, I started noticing that my periods have just changed. And I started feeling very, very down right before my period, a couple of days before my period. And it would even last a little bit after my period would start. And I remember going to the doctor and she said, it sounds like you might have PMDD, where you're just, your hormones are fluctuating so much that it just affects you way more than the average person. And I am highly sensitive. So I think any type of drop in estrogen and progesterone, I'm just very sensitive to it. And so it would cause this feeling of like, I wouldn't say depression, but just like very low, like, oh, I can't move. Like, and you guys know if you've ever experienced really painful and bad periods. Started doing acupuncture is one of the things that she suggested, and I absolutely loved it. I highly recommend acupuncture. And then over the years, then about age 40, it started to be really bad fatigue where I was starting to get very exhausted. I'd probably say about 41, where I started getting extremely exhausted. I just had trouble falling asleep. I could not go to sleep until almost 2 a.m, which has never really been an issue for me. And all of a sudden it was. I couldn't get to sleep. Staying asleep was pretty much impossible. Every little tiny noise that I heard outside would just wake me up. And again, I'm sensitive, so that could very much be a factor as well. But here's the thing. When the insomnia started, and this was, I couldn't fall asleep in my early 30s. Then when I started getting into like maybe like 42 type of thing, then it was insomnia where I would wake up in the middle of the night and couldn't go back to sleep. So I could pass out in 2 seconds, but I could not go back to sleep. So I would wake up at 2 a.m. and I wouldn't go back to sleep until almost 5 a.m. When that starts to happen, I think the worst thing that can happen with all of these symptoms is the insomnia and the sleep cycle, because when that gets affected, it affects everything. You're going to feel way more exhausted than you even did before. I mean, like, look, we're in our 40s. Life's pretty exhausting at this stage of my life, I have to say. Kids are extremely busy. You're still expected to work at the same capacity that you did in your 30s, maybe even in your 20s. For me, I am taking care of my parents. So I handle all of their finances, doctor's appointments, like all the things. I mean, I have my own business. I'm in a relationship. I manage a household. So I know what it's like to be a stay-at-home mom. I know what it's like to be a business owner and a full-time worker. And having all of these roles, which I don't think is normal whatsoever, there's just so much busyness at this stage. So life is already exhausting, that when you're not producing hormones that you need to be able to just like even sustain the average, then you're going to feel even more exhausted. So I think the insomnia for me was so bad that then because what ended up happening was then it brought out anxiety, where every night I was dreading going to sleep because I knew I was going to wake up in the middle of the night and not be able to go back to sleep. And then that's just like a vicious cycle that happens over and over and over again, which sucks. I mean, it sucks because you can never feel like a normal person if you're not getting really good sleep. I think what ended up happening was at that point, I went to a wellness specialist and I started working on gut health because I realized just how important the gut was towards my hormone regulation, balancing my hormones, everything. So I started focusing more on that. I started looking at what I was eating, things that I basically, why was I getting bloated? Why was I feeling like crap after I ate this kind of food? I started a food journal where I was writing down how I felt and what I looked like after I ate every meal. And, little things like buying more organic food, chewing my food slower, not trying to rush through my meals, sitting down and eating lunch and not working while I was eating lunch, which is what I would always do. Giving myself more time in between coaching calls. I mean, I used to go back to back. I remember during COVID, literally going one call. I didn't even give myself 5 minutes. I mean, I couldn't even you have like a restroom break. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just going back to back. And I did that for about 3 years. And if you do that long enough, you are definitely going to get burnt out, which is what I did. And finally I was like, why do I not have a good 15 minutes in between calls? And then that went into a half an hour where I was like, I need a break just for myself. I felt like I could handle going back to back with the calls, but it just wasn't sustainable. It wasn't good for me. I really focused on gut health, and over time, that absolutely did help my sleep. The exhaustion and the fatigue that you feel when you're in perimenopause is so incredibly real. And I always use the example of the day before your period or maybe 2 days before your period where you can't even do basic things. Like just lifting your arm is like so much work, or just going downstairs and throwing one load of laundry in. And then you're like, that really just like wiped me out. That's what you feel like all the time. Every day is a struggle to just do like the basic things because you have absolutely no energy. There was two parts to this. One part was I was not exercising whatsoever. I wasn't doing anything at all. Now I do a 3-mile walk every single day, and that has helped tremendously. And you would think the opposite. You would think that it would make me more tired. And of course it tires me out. But what it does is it helps my energy levels to feel more alive and strengthening my body instead of feeling, the aging process happening because my hormones are dipping and I'm feeling the aches a little bit more and all of those things. So it has actually been the best thing for me because it's helped me to sleep better. It's helped me to have more energy throughout the day and feel tired when I should feel tired. And also, I would say this is probably the most important thing. And I think as women, this is what we really all need to do for ourselves a little bit more, is I started giving myself grace, where I said, if today's the day where it's really hard for me to do, this huge list of things to do, then guess what? It doesn't get done. It doesn't get done. And looking at the list and saying, honestly, what actually needs to get done versus what do I think needs to get done? And just pretending like everything on the list is of the dire, like it absolutely is so incredibly important. No, it's not. There are things on the list that don't need to get done today. You don't have to do the dishes right now. You want to do it because you're OCD and you like a clean house. Totally understandable. But put yourself first. Get on the couch, read a book, do something that's going to help your nervous system to relax and feel calmer rather than keeping yourself so busy that you just run yourself into a wall. I think as women, we always feel the need that we need to be doing things. I think every single man I've ever been in a relationship with has said, you cannot sit down. On one hand, that's great. I'm a super productive person. And on the other hand, it's a problem because then I struggle to relax basically. And I don't know how to relax. And I'm taking on way more responsibility than I feel like we need to. I think we like to create stories as women that says, well, if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. But again, understanding, and believe me, I live in a house with 3 boys and a grown man. So I understand that there are going to be some things as women that we value that men just don't. I understand that maybe some men are just cleaner than others or tidier than others, and some are just total pigs. And then if that's the case, you have to have a conversation with that man because that's a problem. I think we just have to be real and honest about what is on the list and what actually needs to get done, and focusing more on your stress levels and your health versus always doing, because that's just going to cause more fatigue, more exhaustion. I think at about the same time that I was experiencing really bad insomnia. Now I'm still a light sleeper. I still wake up in the middle of the night. And of course, I go to the bathroom. I don't think I can drink anything past 8:30, which stinks because if I don't drink a lot of water throughout the day and I take a shower at night, the first thing I want to do is like guzzle water because I'm dehydrated, which means I'm going to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So I try not to do that. But I think after the age of 40, if you're not peeing at 3 a.m., then I don't know, something might be wrong with you actually. Or you know what? You're just that lucky woman that can just completely check out and is just like a hard sleeper. Like a bomb could go off and Jason won't wake up. Whereas like the bird, chirping outside my window, I'm like, I hear that. Or Annie's paws walking on the wood floor. I'm like, girl, just lay in bed and go to sleep, please. I wish I was that person that was just, I could hit the bed and just, I'm out. But I've never been that person. When I had really bad insomnia, probably like at the height of it, it was also coupled with massive anxiety and probably a couple panic attacks. I've always had anxiety, but over, the 10 plus years of doing this as a career, you learn a lot of stuff about self-awareness, about being in the present moment, about healing trauma, about, working on yourself, that I can honestly say in 10 plus year span, the number of times that I had experienced anxiety. Now, prior to me really starting this as a career and focusing on this and learning as much as I know now, the amount of times I would have anxiety was much, much higher. So everything that I learned helped me to understand anxiety. And eventually, once you understand it, you learn how to deal with it, it starts to subside. It doesn't ever fully go away because it's just like any disease or any trauma. It's going to be there from time to time, but you at least know how to manage it, how to handle it, and it doesn't interfere with your life, I should probably say. When the insomnia was happening, that's when the anxiety started happening. And then I think that was the point where I realized I must actually be a crazy person, because I have dealt with this and I've managed this. Like, I am good. Like, I do this stuff for a living. And like, look at me. I'm having anxiety over things that are just easy things that I never thought about before. I think the nerves get a little bit heightened when you go through perimenopause. You're even more sensitive than you ever were before, because your hormones are fluctuating. Call it age, call it hormone fluctuation, whatever you want to do. I'm much more aware of things now. I don't want to say like I worry more, but there are certain things that I think I worry about more now at this age than I did when I first became a mom, first off, which seems crazy to me. Or maybe it's just the awareness of how precious life is because I'm getting older. I couldn't really tell you. I don't know how to pinpoint it. But when the insomnia happened, the anxiety happened, here came the hot flashes. And I couldn't tell if it was a hot flash or if it was me feeling so warm because of the anxiety. So I'm like, what is happening now? Is this a hot flash? Is it not a hot flash? But I will tell you, if this house is not 68 degrees throughout the year, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a problem in this house. So every person in this house has their own blanket that is theirs that they take around with them. I mean, the youngest one in the family, my stepson, constantly walks around with his big Snuggie on, or his, big fluffy blanket at breakfast. He's, and I'm like, guys, it is so hot in here. I don't understand. So it's happening. Like, the hot flashes are definitely a thing. I have best purchase I ever made. And I honestly sound like my grandmother, but mama got a fan. Mama got a little fan right by my bed, right on my bedstand. And it is the best thing in the world. My son has one too. I don't really do the ceiling fan thing. I just feel like that's too much air and I don't want to feel cold. I just need that, like, that tiny little bit, like, right on my face if I'm sleeping and I get a little hot and I can just turn my head and like it just hits my face. It's like the most perfect amount of cool air to really help this 44-year-old woman. And my son loves it too. So there you go. That has been one of the best purchases in the last 5 years, is my $20 little Walmart fan that I keep beside my bed. And honestly, in the summer months or in the winter months, when it's just like, when it's cold, sometimes I don't necessarily even face it on me, but I face it more in like my chest, stomach area. Sometimes I just like to even hear it now. I just find it to be like so soothing. But that has been an absolute game changer. Look, we can all be honest with ourselves, is that we all experience like these times in the month, whatever, call it PMS, whatever you want to call it, where we're just nasty. Like, I am so delusional to the fact that, no, I'm not like that. Like, no, I'm not like that. But once I hit definitely my early 40s, I started to notice it was more than, and actually, to be honest with you, when I hit 37 and I went to the doctor and I said, look, my periods, I feel like, are just like very different now. One of the things that I said to her was, aside from just feeling this dip where this like low right before my period that I hadn't really ever experienced before, I also was starting to experience like rage on a level that I just couldn't. I was like, what is happening? And mostly it was road rage, where I was like, I don't know if I can like even drive on the highway because there's going to be a problem. Like, why is everyone driving so fast? Or why is this happening? Or whatever. And it was like this rage inside of me all of a sudden on another level, right? Where it just doesn't make sense. That type of mood swing where all of a sudden I was feeling so easily triggered by something, whether it was someone on the highway, someone in a store. And again, mind you, I've done so much work on myself. I've listened to so much Eckhart Tolle and Abraham Hicks that I completely understand triggers and being in the now and being in the moment and how to just, slow it down and understanding hurt people, and like all those things. So for me to get triggered at this stage of life with everything that I had been doing to work on myself and heal myself and rise above and be at a high vibration and blah, 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 I'm like, this doesn't make sense with everything that I'm doing. I'm so triggered right now by this little thing. And it was that irritability that I started realizing, oh, this is more of just like not even extreme PMS, because this is how you know it's perimenopause, is your period's not coming anytime soon and you're experiencing all these things. And that's where I was like, oh my God, am I just a horrible person that this is just who I am, that I'm this way throughout the entire month, that I couldn't blame it on, well, my period's around the corner. I'm like, whoa. I ended my period last week. Like, what are we doing? Why am I experiencing these things? Here we go. It was perimenopause. But again, no one told me. So I'm just thinking that I'm so incredibly stressed, or I'm this, or I'm that, or why do I feel this way? I think after probably about 41, 42, I started feeling like I couldn't formulate sentences. I remember doing videos for YouTube and I would be talking about, I'd have my little notes on a paper and I'm like, all right, I want to make sure I hit these points and all those things. And I never have read from a script or anything like that. I've just never been that person. I've always just kind of talked. I had notes and bullet points of like things that I wanted to specifically touch on, but that was it. And I used to just go. I could just talk, right? And I found myself not remembering things, not knowing how to articulate things. And I've never really had that problem before. It was kind of like not memory loss in a way, but I just couldn't concentrate on what I was doing. Like my brain was going in all of these different directions. So whether it was not being able to remember things, not knowing how to articulate myself, or quite frankly, walking into a room and not even remembering why I even walked in the room to begin with, like the level of brain fog that I have experienced in perimenopause, I'm like, this makes no sense. I thought once I had Ryan, we all go through mom brain where we just like forget things. And, I always kind of said, okay, we have mom brain because we just have so much going on. But after you have a baby, your hormones are fluctuating too. And so the reason why I was having mom brain was not because I was stressed and I was trying to remember too many things. Yeah, that could be a factor, absolutely. But it was more that my hormones were all over the place and I wasn't steady and I wasn't balanced, which, by the way, trying to balance a woman's hormones is pretty much impossible, because even if you take HRT, even if you're supplementing yourself, which I am starting in the next couple of weeks, which I am so excited about. So I'll keep you posted on that. And we'll do a podcast about that as well. But I'm going to be taking an estrogen patch and progesterone at night, which I just cannot wait. So anyways, let's say you're fueling yourself with some hormones to help balance yourself out. You're still not ever going to be 100% balanced, because every single day it changes. And as you're aging, you're depleting yourself more and more of your hormones. So let's say, for example, your hormones are here. If you're watching me on YouTube, then you can see where I'm pointing. But your hormones are here, and you're going to give yourself this much hormones to what you think is going to fill up your cup and balance you out. And the only way you'll know whether that's enough is by how you feel. So if you start to feel better, then you're like, okay, then I feel really good. This must be my fill point. And so I'll keep it here. But over time, your hormones that your body was just already producing, which was down here, starts to go down here. And then you need to supplement with more. So it's always, unfortunately, this game that we're trying to play to even ourselves out, balance ourselves out. The brain fog, the memory loss. First off, I think the one thing, and just like, do I have ADHD? All of a sudden I was like, I can't focus on anything. My brain is going in all these directions. Like, what is the problem right now? There's a couple things. One is I've learned over the last couple of years, and this is kind of the practice that I've started to implement in my own life, is I just straight up have to slow down. I can't, at this age and stage of my life, go as fast as I could go when I was in my 20s and 30s. I just can't. I'm not there yet. Maybe I'll get there with HRT. Maybe I won't. Maybe it'll help a little, which I absolutely think it will. Will I ever be able to go at that speed again? Who knows? But for right now, I'm okay with if it doesn't happen. I think at this stage of life, I need to slow down in order to be able to do something and do it really well. Which, is that an age thing, or is that just we were already doing too much, and maybe everything that we were doing wasn't even getting 100% of ourselves, it was only getting 50%, right? So I kind of go back and forth with these ideas of, is it really hormones and I need to slow down, or is it more that I've been doing too much for too long and that's the problem, and I'm only supposed to be doing one thing at a time, type of an attitude. So I start to slow down. In terms of just straight up brain fog, where I don't even know why I walked in a room, I let it go. I think it used to really irk me that I couldn't figure out what it was. Like, I was trying so hard to remember, why did I come in here? What was I about to do? That the minute it kind of goes away and I lose the thought, I let it go. And I go, okay, well, I forgot that, so let's move on to the next thing. And that's it. And I don't fight it anymore. One of the hard, put aside the insomnia, put aside the anxiety. Those were probably the biggest two that hurt me the most because they're so debilitating. And the brain fog, memory loss, yep, that's all annoying stuff. I think number 2 on the list has been the weight gain and the bloating, and understanding that my body has changed because my hormones are changing, that my metabolism has gotten a little slower because I'm not producing as much estrogen as I used to. So from what I read, from what I hear, from what my doctor said, all the things, that giving yourself those hormones back, it's not necessarily going to equate weight loss, but if you're working out, if you're eating right, and you're giving yourself what it is that you're lacking, that you will start to see some results. So I am crossing my fingers because I do 3 miles every day. My diet has definitely changed. I'm planning my meals out more. I'm more mindful of what it is that I'm putting in my body, just in terms of like my plate and my portions. I think I never really had a hard time with what I was necessarily eating. I've always eaten pretty well. I do love sugar, but I don't love sugar enough to just gain 15 pounds just because I want to eat a cookie. Like, I have that kind of, call me vain, but I would rather look better, feel better than devour a bag of potato chips. That's not my vice. I'm fine with eating an apple and some peanut butter and then calling it that a day. I think it's more of the frustration that whatever I was doing, nothing was changing. And that's the part that sucks with the weight gain and the bloating at this age, is even sometimes when you are making changes, you're not always seeing progress. And that's the thing that I hear everyone complaining about. And guess what? I'm complaining about it too. So I feel you. Periods being all over the place. I think what month are we in? We're in September, January, and there's been a couple months this year. And this really started this year where not necessarily I would miss a period, but I would go. I remember the month of January, I got my period one day every week of the month. That was it. I'm like, what is happening here? I will say the symptoms that come before my period are so hard and difficult. You would think I would be flooded, for a week here of just bleeding and bleeding. Nope. It's like these horrific symptoms happen. You think you're gonna, my God, what is gonna come out of me? And then all of a sudden it's like, I bleed for a day. And I'm like, okay, there you go. So irregular periods, heavy periods, no periods, that kind of fluctuation, or just it being so unpredictable now, that's incredibly frustrating. But I will say that has really just happened in the last year and a half for me, and I am 44. Something that I noticed probably in the last 6 months, I've really been so aware of it, is my hair is extremely dry. I wouldn't say extremely dry, but it's very dry. It's very frizzy. It takes more work to make it look good. Whereas before I could probably just like let it air dry and it would still look amazing. Nope, can't do that anymore. I have to dye my roots every 3 to 4 weeks, which sucks when you have dark hair. But if I put highlights in it, then it damages the hair more and then it gets frizzier. So I've kind of ixnayed on the highlighting for a little while until I start doing HRT and see how it maybe affects like the oil production in my scalp and see if it just helps my hair feel a little better. I do hair oiling once a week where, I kind of exfoliate the scalp. I put some oil on my scalp and then oil throughout my ends. I do think 100% that oiling your scalp will absolutely help with hair growth. I have seen it. So I know that if I do it consistently, it definitely works. If I don't, then it's not going to work. But that has definitely helped. I have gotten a lot more migraines, I feel like, at this stage of life, or real bad headaches than I ever have before. And, your skin changes. Like, I notice the crow's feet now. I think if I really did a lot of facials and did a lot of these things, yep, you can always like make them a little faint. I don't do Botox. I don't do filler. Not that I'm against it. I haven't done it. I honestly don't have an intention on doing it. But if I really focus on really good skincare and I'm good with my regimens, then I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like my skin looks great, but when I smile, I see the aging now, whereas I could smile before. I'm not going to be Victoria Beckham and just not smile for a picture. It's just not going to happen. I think that's what she said in like a Vogue article once, that she just doesn't smile or do anything because of wrinkles. I'm not living that life. I like the wrinkles because it shows that I'm a happy person, basically. So that's kind of my spiel on what I've gone through. What really has helped me was focusing on gut health, was managing my plate. My portion control has really helped weight gain. Walking has really helped. I am back on, I'm really big on affirmations and meditation. I've always talked about this for years and years. Just in terms of your mental health, it is probably the number one thing that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but it absolutely contributes to reprogramming your subconscious mind, having a healthy inner dialogue. Like, you can't learn how to be your own best friend if you don't have a good arsenal or a good tools or library of things to kind of pull down to resort to. Because everything that you pull down right now is negative, is fear, is worry, is stress, and insecurity, all the things. So doing affirmations every single night absolutely reprograms your subconscious mind, which if you by now, after watching me for this many years, don't understand what your subconscious mind or how it works, girl, what are we doing here? Go watch a video, learn about this stuff, understand how it works, understand why it's so important, understand how it controls your life, because it is the only thing that you need to be focusing on every single day in terms of your mental health, is making sure that your subconscious mind is healthy. And the only way it can really be healthy is through affirmation. So what you repeat, you believe. Over the years, I've always fed my mind every single night. And there have been some years where I probably, didn't do the best job of focusing on that aspect of my own mental and emotional self. But I've definitely gotten back into it again, probably in the last year or two. And it just affects so many areas of your life. It affects how you feel about yourself. It affects your confidence level, what you think you deserve in life. I can't even tell you. So if there's one thing that I can stress, I know we're talking about perimenopause, but this has so much to do with your mental health and how you feel about yourself. And let's be honest, with everything that you're going through, you don't feel good, right? You're aging, things are changing, you're grieving, maybe your younger self or the body you used to have or how you used to look and all those things. We're in our mid 40s. Our music is now considered old. It's crazy to me that we're here. And so I don't know, I just feel like working on your mental health is so important at this stage of your life, just for you to have that self-love, that confidence back that you used to have, right? That you just maybe don't have anymore. And it's because this phase of your life, while so many things are changing and you may feel defeated and nothing you do is working, this is the time in your life where you are supposed to be pouring back into yourself. And that's probably why you're experiencing as much as you are experiencing, because it's kind of like life, God, universe, whoever's way of saying, hey, I want you to pause and just start taking better care of yourself, because you've been running and going and doing so much for so long and you haven't been taking care of you. So I'm going to give you these symptoms to start kind of taking a step back and just pouring back into yourself. So don't look at it as a curse like I did for many years. Look at it as a gift for you to actually pour into yourself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's podcast. Again, if you are not following me on YouTube, you can go over there. If you are on YouTube watching, you can, listen to this on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast if you're going for your 3-mile walk today. So take care so much, you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.